It was a normal day for millions of people around the world. People were going about their daily routines, checking their phones, sipping coffee, heading to work, or relaxing at home. Then suddenly, something happened that made everyone stop and pay attention. News started spreading online like wildfire, making people sit up and wonder if what they were reading could actually be true. The message was simple but shocking. Hillary Clinton's arrest was about to happen. It seemed impossible. Hillary Clinton, the former First Lady, U.S. Senator and Secretary of State, was one of the most famous and powerful women in American history. Many people had followed her career for decades. She was someone who had run for president and had been a key figure in politics. The idea that she could be arrested was surprising, even unbelievable to some. Social media platforms exploded with messages and videos about the news. People shared posts with headlines saying, "Hillary Clinton's arrest is just minutes away," and "Breaking, Elon Musk drops new evidence." It spread so fast that even those who usually avoided politics couldn't help but take notice. People started refreshing their news apps every few seconds, hoping to get official information. But the strange thing was, no major news channels had confirmed it yet. The story was coming mostly from online posts and rumors. Some people believed it immediately, while others were skeptical and thought it was just another fake news story. After all, in recent years, many false stories had spread quickly on the internet, causing confusion. So it was hard to know what to believe. The tension in the air was real. Some people gathered around their TVs or phones, waiting for official announcements. Others called friends and family to talk about what was happening. Many wondered, what was going on? Why now? And most importantly, was it true? The whole situation felt like a drama unfolding in real time. It reminded some people of a movie or a thriller book, where a secret was about to be revealed that would change everything. But this was real life, and the world was watching closely. As the rumors grew louder, questions started to fill people's minds. How could such a powerful and well-known figure be arrested? What evidence was there? Who was behind this news? And how would it affect the country and its future? People who followed politics closely tried to piece together what might be happening. Some thought it had to do with old investigations that had never fully closed. Others believed new information had finally come to light. There was also talk about the role of Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur known for companies like Tesla and SpaceX. Rumors said he had shared some important evidence that would change everything. Elon Musk was a name almost everyone recognized, even if they didn't follow business or technology closely. He was famous for pushing the limits of space travel, electric cars, and even internet technology. But lately, he had also become known for speaking out loudly on social media, sometimes stirring up controversy. The idea that Elon Musk might be involved in this political story made it even more surprising. Why would a business leader get involved in something so political? What kind of evidence did he have? And was it really true that Hillary Clinton's arrest was about to happen? News websites and journalists started digging for answers. Some tried to verify the claims by contacting official sources, but no confirmation came at first. Government officials stayed silent, neither denying nor confirming the rumors. This silence made the story feel even more mysterious and intense. As hours passed, people around the world shared their opinions. Some were excited and hopeful, believing that justice was finally coming. They thought this could be a moment of truth and accountability. Others were worried about what it might mean for the country's stability and reputation. They feared more division and conflict. The news also caught the attention of politicians and leaders in Washington and beyond. Some released statements, carefully choosing their words to avoid escalating the situation. Others criticized the rush to judgment and called for patience until facts were clear. At the same time, ordinary people began sharing their feelings and fears. Social media posts showed a mix of hope, disbelief, confusion, and anxiety. People posted questions like, "Is this really happening? And what will happen next?" Some shared memories of past political scandals and wondered if history was repeating itself. The sense of uncertainty was strong. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the next big update. the official word that would explain everything clearly. Meanwhile, the internet buzzed with theories and speculations, with some posts going viral. Despite all the noise, one thing was clear. The story had captured the world's attention in a way few events had before. It was not just about one person anymore. It had become a symbol of larger struggles: trust in leaders, truth in the media, and the power of social networks to shape opinions. Amidst this storm, ordinary life went on. People still went to work, kids went to school, and daily routines continued. But in the back of many minds, the question lingered. What if the news was true? What if the next few hours would bring one of the most important political moments in recent history? Newsrooms stayed alert, journalists prepared for live updates, and TV stations scheduled special broadcasts. Everyone was ready for whatever would come next. The day had already turned into something extraordinary. In the end, that first part of the story was about a world holding its breath, caught between disbelief and curiosity. It was the moment when a rumor on the internet felt real enough to change the way people saw their leaders and their country. The countdown had started, and no one knew how it would end. Just when the world was still trying to understand the sudden news about Hillary Clinton's possible arrest, another unexpected event took place that made the story even more dramatic. Elon Musk, the well-known entrepreneur and billionaire, stepped into the spotlight. But this time he wasn't talking about rockets or electric cars. Instead, he was sharing something that captured everyone's attention: a big claim about new evidence connected to Hillary Clinton. Elon Musk was famous for many things. He was the head of Tesla, the company that made electric cars popular. He also led SpaceX, the private company working to send people to Mars. People admired him for his ideas and inventions, but they also knew he wasn't afraid to speak his mind, especially on social media. When Elon Musk talks, many people listen closely. So when Musk posted online about having bombshell evidence, it instantly caused a stir. He shared documents, videos, and digital files that he said were proof of something serious involving Hillary Clinton. The evidence, according to Musk, showed things that had never been revealed before and could change the course of the whole story. People all over the world started reading the evidence Elon Musk released. Some were shocked by what they saw. Others questioned if it was real or just another trick. The evidence included emails, financial records, and other documents that suggested there might have been actions taken behind the scenes, things that could explain why an arrest might be possible. Many experts began analyzing the documents Musk had posted. Lawyers, political analysts, and journalists all tried to understand the meaning and importance of this new information. They debated if the evidence was strong enough to lead to legal action. Some said it looked convincing, while others warned that things needed to be verified carefully before jumping to conclusions. One of the most interesting parts of the evidence was a series of emails between top political figures. These emails seemed to show discussions about events that had never been made public before. Some messages hinted at deals or decisions that could be seen as questionable. However, without full context, it was hard for people to judge the true meaning. Along with the emails, there were financial records showing transactions that raised eyebrows. Some of the money appeared to have moved in ways that made people wonder if everything was legal. Again, the question was whether these documents were complete and accurate, or if some details were missing. Elon Musk's announcement made the news even bigger. Suddenly, this wasn't just a rumor anymore. There was now actual evidence that people could look at and discuss. This made the story feel more real and serious than ever before. Of course, not everyone believed Musk's claims right away. Some people pointed out that he was known for being unpredictable. Sometimes Musk made bold statements that did not always turn out to be true. Others thought that his involvement could be part of a bigger plan to influence public opinion or politics. Despite the doubts, many people found the evidence interesting enough to pay attention. Social media was filled with conversations and debates. Some users praised Elon Musk for sharing what they called the truth. Others warned about jumping to conclusions without proof from official sources. As the story grew, politicians started reacting to Musk's announcement. Some leaders defended Hillary Clinton, saying that the evidence was not reliable and that it was unfair to accuse someone without a full investigation. They called for patience and fairness in the process. Other politicians were quicker to speak out against Clinton, suggesting that the new evidence could finally explain long-standing questions about her actions. These differing opinions showed how divided the political world had become. The story was no longer just about one person. It had become a symbol of larger conflicts and disagreements. News organizations worked hard to verify the documents Elon Musk released. Some reporters reached out to experts in technology and law to check if the files were genuine. Others tried to contact officials who might know more about the situation. This was not an easy task, as the documents were complex and the story involved sensitive information. Meanwhile, ordinary people were trying to make sense of it all. Some felt excited, believing that the truth was finally coming out. Others were worried about what this could mean for their country. They wondered if the political system could handle such a scandal without causing more problems. In many ways, Elon Musk's reveal made the story feel like a turning point. What had started as a rumor was now a full public debate, with real evidence on the table. It was like a puzzle that everyone wanted to solve, but no one had all the pieces yet. At the same time, some experts reminded the public to be cautious. They said that legal cases are complicated, and that evidence must be carefully checked in court before anyone can be found guilty. They warned against believing everything seen online, especially in such a heated political environment. Even with these warnings, the impact of Musk's announcement was undeniable. It pushed the story to the front pages and became the main topic of conversation everywhere. People talked about it at work, at home, and online. It was no longer just news. It was a shared experience that connected millions of people. The story also highlighted how technology and social media had changed the way news spreads. In the past, important information usually came through official channels like TV or newspapers. Now, a single social media post from a famous person could start a global conversation in minutes. As the hours passed, the world waited for the next development. Would there be a response from Hillary Clinton or her team? Would the government confirm or deny the evidence? What would the courts say? In the middle of all this uncertainty, one thing was clear. Elon Musk's reveal had made the story much bigger and more serious. It showed how powerful new information could be when shared with millions of people instantly. People were left with many questions and a sense of anticipation. They knew that the coming days would be important, possibly changing history. The story was far from over, and everyone was watching closely, waiting for the next chapter. After Elon Musk released the new evidence, the news quickly spread like wildfire. The whole country, and many parts of the world, were talking about it non-stop. The story wasn't just about one person anymore. It had turned into a major event that stirred strong feelings among people everywhere. On one side, there were those who felt hopeful and excited. They believed that this new evidence would finally bring truth and justice. Many of these people thought it had been a long time coming. They wanted to see accountability from powerful leaders, no matter who they were. For them, Musk's reveal was proof that no one was above the law and that everyone should be treated equally. These supporters shared their feelings openly on social media. They posted messages praising Musk for coming forward and demanded action from the authorities. Some even organized peaceful gatherings to express their hope for change. They saw this moment as a chance for the country to heal and become stronger by facing difficult truths. But on the other side, many people were worried or angry. They saw the evidence and the whole situation differently. For some, it felt like an attack on someone they respected or supported. They believed Hillary Clinton was being unfairly targeted and that the evidence was either incomplete or taken out of context. They warned that rushing to judgment could harm democracy and cause unnecessary division. These people spoke up too, calling for calm and patience. They reminded others that everyone deserves a fair trial and that no one should be condemned without solid proof. Their voices were just as loud and passionate. They feared that the country might fall deeper into conflict if things weren't handled carefully. This split in opinions caused a lot of debates. Friends, families, and co-workers found themselves discussing the topic more than usual. Sometimes these talks were calm, but other times they became heated. The news had touched a nerve, showing how divided people really were. Political leaders noticed this growing tension. Some used the moment to strengthen their own positions. They gave speeches and interviews, making clear where they stood on the issue. Some defended Hillary Clinton strongly, saying the evidence was not enough to accuse her. Others called for investigations and promised to support the truth, whatever it might be. The media played a big role in these debates. News channels ran special programs, inviting experts to explain the evidence and possible outcomes. Some reporters focused on legal details, while others looked at the political consequences. Newspapers and websites published opinion pieces from all sides, trying to help readers understand what was happening. Despite all this, the truth was still unclear. The evidence Elon Musk shared was important, but it wasn't a full story yet. Investigations take time and many questions needed answers. What exactly did the documents mean? Were they accurate and complete? Could they stand up in court? These were the issues that experts, lawyers, and judges had to figure out. In the meantime, people kept watching closely. Social media was filled with updates, comments, and new information. Some users created videos explaining parts of the evidence. Others shared their own thoughts or personal stories related to justice and fairness. The conversation became bigger than the original news, touching on values like honesty, trust, and leadership. At the same time, protests started appearing in several cities. Most of these were peaceful, with people holding signs and chanting for justice. Some protesters wanted to see Hillary Clinton arrested and held responsible. Others were there to support her and call for a fair legal process. Police and community leaders worked hard to keep the demonstrations calm and safe. The story also reached international attention. Foreign governments and news outlets followed the developments closely. Some expressed concern about how this situation might affect American politics and global relations. The world seemed to realize that what was happening could have effects far beyond just one country. Meanwhile, in the background, legal experts began to prepare for what could be a complicated and long investigation. Lawyers talked about the importance of evidence and due process. Judges reminded everyone that the law must be followed carefully. No matter how strong the feelings were, the system had rules to protect fairness and justice. For many ordinary people, this was a time of mixed emotions. Some felt hope that finally important issues might be solved. Others worried about the divisions and conflicts that seemed to grow every day. Families talked, friends debated, and communities tried to find ways to stay united despite differences. Schools and workplaces saw the story become a topic in conversations. Teachers explained the importance of the legal system. Employers encouraged respectful discussions among colleagues. People learned more about how government and justice work, even if the topic was difficult or confusing. Throughout all this, Hillary Clinton and her team remained mostly quiet in public. They released some statements denying any wrongdoing and calling for respect for the legal process. They said they were confident that the truth would come out and that she would be cleared of any accusations. This silence from Clinton's side added another layer to the story. Some people wondered what was going on behind the scenes. Were there secret meetings or plans? Were lawyers working to respond to the evidence? The questions kept building, keeping the world's attention fixed on every new update. Elon Musk, on the other hand, stayed active on social media. He continued to share comments and answer questions from followers. Sometimes his messages were clear, and other times they were more mysterious. His role in the story kept growing, and many wondered what he would say next. As days passed, the story didn't lose its power. Instead, it became a symbol of the challenges facing the country: trust in leaders, the power of evidence, and the strength of democracy. People realized that the truth was not always simple or easy to find. It required patience, careful thought, and respect for justice. In the end, this part of the story showed how one event could change everything. It brought out different feelings, sparked important debates, and reminded everyone that democracy is not just about laws, but also about people, how they listen, talk, and work together. The world was watching closely, waiting for the next chapter. Everyone knew that whatever happened next would be important, not just for Hillary Clinton, but for the entire nation and its future. After days of intense discussion and debate, the news took a new turn. The authorities officially announced that they were beginning legal proceedings connected to the evidence Elon Musk had shared. This step made everything even more serious. It was no longer just about rumors or accusations. Now the law was involved. The announcement caught the attention of the whole country again. People who had been waiting anxiously for updates felt a mix of emotions. Some were hopeful that justice would be served, while others worried about the consequences of such a big event. The legal process meant that things would move forward in an organized way, with rules and protections for everyone involved. The story now focused on the first official steps of the investigation. Law enforcement agencies began reviewing the evidence carefully. They examined every document, email, and record to see what it really showed. This was a detailed and careful process because the stakes were so high. No mistake could be made. At the same time, prosecutors prepared to present their case. These were the lawyers who represent the government in court. Their job was to decide if the evidence was strong enough to bring charges. They looked at the facts and talked with investigators to understand the full picture. On the other side, Hillary Clinton's legal team also got busy. They worked hard to defend her and prepare for any legal battles ahead. Their job was to protect her rights and make sure she was treated fairly. They reviewed the evidence too, looking for any mistakes or reasons to challenge it. This part of the story showed how the justice system works. It is designed to be fair and balanced, with both sides given the chance to present their views. Judges and courts act as neutral referees, making sure that the law is followed and that decisions are based on facts. As the investigation moved forward, the media kept the public informed. News channels showed updates from court hearings and official statements. Journalists explained the legal terms and what each step meant. This helped many people understand the complicated process better. Public interest remained very high. People followed the story closely, often checking for new developments several times a day. Some attended court sessions when they were open to the public, while others watched from home or online. The legal process also brought new characters into the spotlight. Judges, prosecutors, defense lawyers, and investigators became well-known figures. Each had a role to play, and their actions affected how the story unfolded. One important part was the examination of the evidence in court. Lawyers presented documents and questioned witnesses. They debated what the evidence meant and how it should be understood. This gave the public a closer look at the details behind the headlines. Sometimes the court sessions were tense and dramatic. Lawyers challenged each other, asking tough questions and making strong arguments. Judges listened carefully and made decisions about what evidence could be used and what needed more proof. Outside the courtroom, people continued to discuss the case. Supporters of Hillary Clinton remained confident that she would be cleared. They believed the evidence was weak or misunderstood. They organized peaceful rallies and shared messages of support on social media. At the same time, those who hoped for accountability stayed determined. They believed the legal process would reveal the truth and bring justice. Some volunteers worked to provide information to the public and encourage peaceful protests. The country was deeply divided, but many people still hoped for a peaceful and fair resolution. They wanted the law to do its job properly without rushing or bias. International observers also watched closely. Governments and media from other countries followed the court proceedings. They recognized that this case could have important effects beyond the United States. It was a reminder of how connected the world had become. As the investigation continued, some surprises came up. New evidence was found, and some earlier documents were questioned. These twists added complexity to the case. They showed that legal matters often involve many layers, with new facts sometimes changing the understanding of what happened. Despite the twists, the court remained focused on fairness. Judges reminded everyone that the accused were innocent until proven guilty. They emphasized the importance of following the law, no matter how difficult the case might be. At the same time, the story inspired people to think more about justice and fairness in general. Schools and communities held discussions about the legal system, and the importance of respecting rules. Many people realize that law is not just about punishment, but about protecting rights and ensuring truth. This part of the story also showed the power of patience. Legal cases like this often take time. Evidence must be carefully examined, and all sides must be heard. It is not always fast or simple, but it is designed to be just. For many, watching the legal process unfold was a chance to learn and reflect. They saw how different parts of the system work together and how important it is to have laws that protect everyone. At the end of this phase, the country was still waiting for the big decisions. Would charges be filed? Would there be a trial? What would the courts decide? These questions kept everyone watching closely. In the background, life went on. People continued with their jobs, families, and daily activities. But the story remained a topic of conversation everywhere, at homes, workplaces, and online. It had become a part of everyday life. As the legal proceedings moved ahead, the world watched, hoping that justice, truth, and fairness would come out on top. The story was far from over, but this part showed how important it is to let the law take its proper course, no matter how big the case might be. As the legal process continued and people across the country watched every update, one thing became clear. This was more than just a case. It had become a moment that made people think about truth, responsibility, and how justice really works in a modern world. Weeks had passed since Elon Musk shared the original evidence. What started as a surprising online post had now turned into an official investigation. Courtrooms were busy, lawyers were working hard, and the public waited to see what would happen next. Everyone wanted answers. During this time, both sides of the case had spoken clearly. The legal team for Hillary Clinton defended her firmly, saying that none of the documents showed wrongdoing. They argued that many pieces of the evidence were misunderstood or taken out of context. They explained that public figures often deal with complex situations, and things are not always as simple as they seem. On the other hand, the government's legal team continued reviewing each file, email, and transaction. Their job was not to make guesses but to rely on facts. They carefully chose what to bring forward in court, trying to build a clear picture of the situation. It was not easy, but the law required full attention to detail and fairness at every step. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was serious and respectful. Judges reminded everyone that the purpose of the court is not to punish based on emotion, but to find the truth based on evidence. This meant listening carefully, asking the right questions, and making decisions without pressure from outside. Reporters covering the case said that the judges and lawyers were acting professionally, focusing on facts and keeping the process honest. This gave many people hope that the country's justice system was strong, even in such a high-profile situation. As the court continued to examine everything, the public began thinking deeply about the lessons behind the case. Some people said this moment showed the importance of transparency, that leaders should be open and honest about their actions. Others focused on the role of citizens, reminding each other that staying informed and involved is part of protecting democracy. At the same time, people also learned about patience. Some had wanted quick decisions or fast answers, but now they saw that real justice takes time. Every document had to be read. Every claim had to be checked. The system was designed to avoid mistakes and protect everyone's rights, even if that meant waiting longer for final answers. In schools and universities, teachers used this real-life event as a way to talk about how courts work. Students learned that legal systems are based on evidence, not opinions. They saw how trials are about more than winning or losing. They are about protecting truth and fairness for all. Back in court, a major moment came when a judge announced that enough information had been reviewed to make a decision about the next step. The judge explained that while some questions still remained, certain findings were now clear. This decision brought both relief and worry to different parts of the public. For those who had believed from the beginning that there was something important behind the evidence, this felt like a victory. They hoped that the final decisions would prove their concerns were valid. But for others, it brought a sense of sadness, especially those who had always believed in Hillary Clinton's innocence. They feared that public opinion might judge too quickly, before all facts were presented. Still, most people agreed on one thing. The process had to continue until the very end. Rushing to conclusions wouldn't help anyone. It was more important to stay calm, focused, and respectful of the legal steps still to come. Meanwhile, Elon Musk remained active on social media. He posted messages about justice, fairness, and the future of society. Some agreed with him, saying he had helped bring hidden information to light. Others said he had created more confusion than clarity. But one thing was certain: he had started a conversation that reached millions of people. In interviews, Musk said his only goal was transparency. He believed that the public deserved to know the truth, and that strong societies are built on honesty. Whether people supported or disagreed with him, they could not ignore the influence he had on the case. In the final days of the hearings, both legal teams presented closing arguments. These were their last chances to explain their side clearly. The defense said that there was no strong proof of any crime, and that assumptions should not replace facts. The prosecutors repeated that the documents raised serious concerns that deserved full attention. Once the closing arguments were finished, the court paused to review everything again. Judges would now spend time going through all the evidence and deciding on their final ruling. This would not be a quick process. It could take days, maybe even weeks. But the public knew that the moment of truth was getting closer. Outside the court, life slowly returned to normal. People returned to their jobs, families, and schools. But the story was still on everyone's mind. It had made people think about how leadership, truth, and justice are connected. Finally, when the court's decision was announced, the country held its breath. The judges gave a detailed explanation based on law and facts. Some people felt satisfied. Others felt disappointed. But most accepted the result, knowing that the case had been handled with seriousness and care. In the end, this story became more than just a legal battle. It became a reminder of how strong and fragile democracy can be at the same time. It showed the power of evidence, the importance of asking questions, and the value of a fair legal system. People learned that big issues are not solved overnight. They take effort, time, and respect for one another. And even when people disagree, what matters most is how they treat each other and how they protect truth. As the headlines began to fade, the lessons stayed behind. Trust, truth, and justice. These are not just words, but the foundation of a strong society. This story had tested those ideas, and in doing so helped remind everyone of their importance.